With such a notorious and famous character, there could have been so much more that this movie could have done. Charles is a fictitious thriller on Charles Sobhraj, played by Randeep Hooda. It's a movie directed by Prawaal Raman, who's worked on movies like Darna Mana Hai, Darna Zaruri Hai. Amod Kant, who was the police officer in charge of this case, is played by Aadil Hussain. The rest of the cast includes Tiska Chopra and Richa Chadda. One of the things that people were looking forward to was because Randeep Hooda was starring in it. As we know that Randeep Hooda is a very underrated actor and most of his work is seemingly unnoticed. Randeep Hooda plays the real-life serial killer Charles Sobhraj, known as the proofreader or the Serpent Killer, who killed many foreigners in Southeast Asia between 1974 and 1976. Charles is portrayed as a conniving, manipulative and calculative individual. His main motive is that he leads a very adventurous life, and the life that leads him from one place to the other gives him a high. The method that Charles uses is that he touches people's lives through his charisma and charm and lures his way into their lives. This is a method utilized in order to get their passport so that he can change his identity in every country that he goes to. Charles Sobhraj was convicted of 12 murders in Southeast Asia. Charles Sobhraj is known to have lived a very nomadic life, where he used to go from country to country using other people's identities. Baffled by the idea that this man is running scot-free by killing 12 individuals in Southeast Asia, in order to bring those families justice, Amod Kant takes on the case. The theme of the movie that Prawaal Raman has tried to convey is that the battle between good and evil will always result in the good prevailing, but the evil will always resurface. Such crime-driven thrillers are extremely strong when the two main characters have the best interaction between each other. In the movie, the representation of good and evil is between Randeep Hooda and Aadil Hussain. Now the interaction between them is so lacking that there is no intensity throughout the movie. Whenever you think of crime thrillers such as Sherlock Holmes and you think of a character like Moriarty, the interaction between them is so intense that it leaves the audience enthralled. But there is a lack of any kind of interaction between these two characters, which leaves the audience hanging. The movie lacks in the depth of the script. When we look at the real life of Charles Sobhraj and the escapades that he went on to, this movie doesn't do justice at all. We see in the first half that there is no depth in the script. Charles, who seems to be a very mysterious character, only grins throughout the first half of the movie, and we don't really seem to understand what is his true motive. We understand in the first half of the movie that the reason why Charles is carrying on with his endeavors is to lead this adventurous life. That Charles Sobhraj is conveyed as a charismatic individual, but none of the scenes portray him as a person who can influence such a large group of people. Throughout the movie, we see Randeep Hooda speaking in a broken French accent, trying to convey his message to these people. But in no way do we see that charisma ooze out in the film. Throughout the movie, I was rooting for Randeep Hooda, as personally I think he's one of the most underrated actors in Bollywood. Even with actors such as Tiska Chopra and Richa Chadda, there was no character development for them to stand out in the entire script. Aadil Hussain tries his best with the given script to convey his helplessness with the case. Charles Sobhraj is known to be a very notorious character. So notorious that there have been 4 books and 3 documentaries made on his life. With such a notorious and famous character, there could have been so much more that this movie could have done. The movie doesn't do justice to Charles Sobhraj in real life. I always seem to find myself comparing all crime thriller protagonists to Sherlock Holmes. Somehow logic is the thing which sways me to these crime thrillers. And in every Sherlock Holmes scenes, his observations of people are because of deductions that he does while looking at them. But in this movie, because we understand that Randeep Hooda is a charismatic guy, we seem to take it for granted that he knows everything and knows everyone. He seems to enter effortlessly in scenes knowing everything and everyone and how things work. If we read about the escapades that Charles Sobhraj went in his real life, you would be shocked on how this movie has not covered even a tiny bit of it. If you are going for Main Aur Charles, don't expect too much. There are good performances, but the script lacks any character development and you will be